Hi, my name's John Jones. I'm the head professional at Harleyford Golf Club in Marlow. Welcome to the third edition of my monthly newsletter. This month we're going to be covering how to get the ball out of the rough. At this time of year the rough can be pretty thick, pretty heavy, and it's often difficult to get your ball advancing down the fairway. I think a lot of that is to do with the club that people select when they are in this position. And I think that's a really important thing to start with. So for those of you who tend to gauge what club to use dependent on the distance, you might have a par 5 for example, and straight away you're thinking of advancing the ball as far as you can. So people reach for their fairway woods, they reach for their long irons, both of which are going to be extremely difficult to get out of quite long heavy grass. I think your first port of call has got to be to assess the lie. If you really feel that you can hit one of those clubs, then fine, but I would normally say to pick an iron, probably a mid-range iron, something like a 7-iron, and then go through these following procedures and try to advance your ball back onto the fairway. Firstly, what I would be looking to do is to grip down the golf club just a little bit. What that does is it gets me closer to the ball and makes me swing naturally on a slightly steeper angle. Secondly, I would move the golf ball slightly further back in my stance, which will help to promote a more downward strike onto the golf ball. Thirdly, I would put my weight predominantly onto my left side so that I'm leaning here and again helping me to strike down onto the back of the ball. Anyone that tends to try to lift the ball out of the grass, or they lean back, or the ball position's too far forward, you'll probably find that you catch a lot of grass between the club head and the ball, which is really going to slow the club head down through impact, and you probably won't get the ball out. One thing to bear in mind is that once you've changed these things in your setup to allow for a steeper angle, you're probably going to de-loft your golf club on the way into the ball. So you'll find that at the point of impact, the shaft lean is slightly forward. What that does is it de-lofts the golf club. So if you're thinking a 7-iron is the perfect club, maybe choose your 8-iron to allow for the fact that the club is going to de-loft. If you start choosing anything with too little loft, like a 3, 4, 5-iron maybe, and then you do these points that I've just said, you'll probably find again that the ball will smother straight in front of you. Hopefully when you put everything together, it looks something like this. Now, you might have noticed I've taken quite a big divot there, partly because of my downward angle of attack, but the ball has come out quite low and it's absolutely flown out, to be honest. So it's come out quite low, not too much spin on it, and again that's maybe something to bear in mind when you're picking your club, because once your ball's hit the floor, you're not going to get it to stop very quickly. Finally, one other point is that if the rough is really thick, you might find it grips onto the hosel of the club, which can turn the club head over. So you've got to bear this in mind if the lie is particularly bad. Potentially aim yourself a little bit further to the right of target and make sure that you grip onto the club extremely firmly to try to stop the club from turning in your hands. Hopefully this all makes sense for you, and it's going to help you over the winter to get your ball out of the rough. If you've missed my last 2 newsletters, then head to my YouTube channel. I've got a video on how to get out of our new bunkers on the 6th hole, and also a video on how to stop hitting your slice. Thanks very much, and see you again next month.